Wagwan, my loves. This is Knowledge Butterfly. As always, sending you guys out peace, blessings, love, and abundance. Right now, my heart is really, really beating. I actually just smoked a little herb. I diced up some Damiana leaf with it as well, just to, keep it as a chill factor. Because now I'm at the point I realize that I do not like drinking or smoking just because it doesn't really fulfill me. It doesn't fulfill any purpose. And um, every time that I feel a need uh, to smoke or whatever, because I haven't smoked in over a month, over a month. But every time I think, hey, you know what I think I do want to smoke, is being gifted to me by the universe. I promise you. Um, what I smoked today, I got it from my cousin. My sister had a Labor Day get together at her house, and I had a really great time. I was dancing. Um, I did have a couple of cocktails. Shout out my brother, because he made sure I was good. He kept checking on me and asking if I want anything. Um, but when I was there, my cousin gifted it with me. So definitely shout him out, because he's so much love, and he actually is conscious. Like, me and him had a long conversation back in February. I won't get into that, but I felt his energy real strong, and I was very happy to meet somebody in my family on my mother's side. This is on my mother's side. Somebody in my family who also activated some in, inactive inactivated or dormant DNA in their cellular structure. So shout them out. But yeah, and then the time before that, this guy was interested in me. He saw me walking. He brought me. We get out of the car. Do you smoke? We can go smoke or whatever. And we smoked right in front of the house in his car and just whatever. But yeah, like even the time before that, it was with the cousin that gifted. No, it wasn't with him. It was with my nephew, and it's just always been the universe gifting me, and I so give thanks for that. You gotta start noticing when the universe is putting shit, lining shit up, and you are in synchronicity and things are flowing, and the universe is gifting you. Like, I keep pulling the Page of Pentacle card, and I had just pulled the Page of Pentacle, and here I go with a gift. You don't even know what that shit means a lot of times until after the fact, because you have a specific situation to put with it. You know what I'm saying? Because the Page of Pentacles is him holding that one pentacle in his hand and looking at it lovingly and giving it to somebody. So I realized my Page of Pentacles, like, shout out to my higher self, shout out to my spirit, shout out to my ancestors, shout out to all the people on YouTube and stuff who share information. Follow the Rich channel, Black Magic 363. I had to stop the video. Billy Carson, I'm watching his video, and the shit is dope as fuck. He just drops his perspective, and even though there are some things that don't necessarily resonate with me, I am always open. I always check myself when I start to realize that I might be listening to combat it. You know what I'm saying? So I consciously am like, you know what? Let me listen to what this brother got to say, and let me be open and say, because that's an affirmation I've been saying, that I am open to however the universe chooses to bless me, and I'm open to however the universe chooses to connect me with my highest good. You know what I'm saying? So I just been doing that. So as this brother was speaking, he was just planting some seeds. And I just want to say, some people may wonder, like, how do you know when you have taken the knowledge, so the book information that you read, how do you know when you've taken the book information that you read, the knowledge, and you've turned that knowledge into wisdom, and then you cultivated that wisdom into understanding, and understanding is the baby, all right, of the two of those, all right? So how do you know when you have understanding? You have understanding when those words and those thoughts have turned into action. And I know it sounds simple. Everybody say, they'll say you gotta follow your intuition, you gotta follow your gut instinct, right? You gotta follow that and trust in that. And a lot of people want to know, how do you do that? You do that by you giving your conscious mind a buy-in, right? You got to give it something. You got to feed it something because it's hungry, all right? And it needs this information in order to accept. And Brother Panic has said this before, but I'm telling you right now, it's clicking so much right now. But thank you, Brother Panic. So he says this stuff all the time, and I would get it from my level of understanding at that time. But it is something different when it turns into knowing. The knowing is the understanding. The knowing is the wisdom, and the action is the understanding of that. So the intuitiveness, that is your connection to the mother, of course. Everybody should, know this in some shape, form, or fashion, but that's your connection. That's the mother, all right? And the father is the wisdom. So the mother in the Kabbalistic tree of life, the mother, well, I shouldn't say that per se, because they have Keith at the top. Then they have the wisdom, and then they have the understanding. But the knowledge is Da, all right? But anywho's, you take the feminine principle of the passive. The passive means being patient. It means waiting for your higher self, whatever you want to call it, your God, whatever you want to call it, waiting on that energy to nudge you, to tell you to put action to something, all right? And then that action then turns into, am I saying this right? Yeah, that action then turns into the baby. It turns into a creation. Just want to make sure I was saying it right. But yeah, it turns into a creation, something that you have birthed. So when you take in that knowledge for your conscious mind, you're reading the books, you're watching people's YouTube channels, shout out Universal Frequencies, because I watch his channel as well today. And like I said, shout out Father Rich and shout out Billy Carson, because just the little bit of time I've watched it, it has just captivated me. And that's not an easy task, okay? But once you take that information from the books you read and the YouTube channels you watch, and that's sharing you this knowledge and information in the spiritual underground railroad, you do the research for yourself. You start finding the books or purchasing the books that they told you about. You start reading those books, again, feeding your conscious mind. And then you take a break from reading. You take a book from watching YouTube channels. And guess what you do? You start to internalize it. You really start, because your conscious mind is the one that is reading that shit. But you have to get to the knowing stage of it. Because the knowing stage is what allows for you to trust yourself. Once you know, you start trying things that work for you. So you might start doing a quote unquote ritual, and you're trusting your higher self and your inner self to tell you what you need to put on your altar. You're trusting your higher self and inner self to tell you what's the best way for you to make money. You're trusting your inner and your higher self to tell you what best works for what best helps you learn lessons and not repeat lessons. Okay? It is the knowing that I'm good without smoking weed or drinking anything. Like, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? That I can actually go. I have the discipline. I've cultivated my Saturn, and I'm seeing a lot of people who have activated and they have passed their Saturn levels. So they went through that number 9 transformation, and they basically graduated from the lesson of Saturn. So they're able to move on to the next stage, and the next stage is realizing you don't have to smoke, you don't have to drink, you don't have to really do any of those things. And even though you told yourself that, so you planted those words and seeds in yourself, and you kept reminding yourself and having that come to mind, and you're like, I actually don't need it. I actually realize how I still can get things done, and I realize that I actually move in a more timely manner. I'm not procrastinating as much, because where the intuitive side could have gave you a nudge, you could have missed the boat because you procrastinated. and your intuitive self was telling you it's the timing to do it right now. That's why procrastination in Sagittarius is something I had to release, and I work on it still. You know what I'm saying? However, I see the growth. Like, I can look back and see where I'm doing things much quicker than I used to. So the lag time is way much better. Where I was taking a whole year to start my YouTube channel. Now, when I say, I'm not now, but I got to a point where I was doing it within the same month. Then I got to the point when I was doing it within the same week. And that's really where I am right now. I say I'm going to do something, and within that week span, I get it done. Because a lot of times my intuition could have told me or shown me in a way, but then I get a second or maybe a third confirmation. So sometimes you got to look and see how many confirmations are you getting. How many times are you needing confirmation before you act on that intuitive nudge for you to do some type of action, the Father. All right? For you to create what you're working on creating and manifesting. You know, how long does it take you? So that's literally what they gave me just from that. You know, the words that you're speaking to yourself as you implanting that idea. That's you impregnated that idea. And doing those moon rituals and following the moon cycle, the science behind that is a more potent time to plant your seed. It's just like any season. There is a time and a season to plant, and there's a time and a season to stock up, and there's a time and a season to rest. And, you know, enjoy the fruits of your labor, the things that you planted that have grown and you were able to, you know, eat from it. Receive a harvest from it. You feel what I'm saying? So those words are planting those seeds during the new moon cycle, because that's a very potent time of year. All right? Or excuse me, a time of the month. You know what I'm saying? It's a potent, just like a woman has a time when she has an open window for her to be impregnated by a man. That's the same thing with how the universe works, and that's the same thing of how we create when we are creating something for ourselves. Right? Once we start really seeing it as what it really is. Okay, and then after you set those words to yourself, because you've been doing your affirmations and you've been planting the seed in your mind, and so you've been doing the repetition in that, and the repetition, you know, is what's planting the seed. The more you water something, the more it grows. However, if you overwater it, you can kill it still at the same time. So it's also knowing when to take a break from something. I'm like, okay, I got this, so now let me take a break from it. And my actions start to speak for it, because guess what? My thoughts are automatically coming up more positive about myself, about my situation, and I'm able to get more gratitude. Gratitude is a clear sign that you have planted some seeds, some good seeds on fertile ground. Okay? And then the last thing that comes from those actions, because you did the words and the thoughts first, and then now the actions are following, is that in the time for your harvest, you're going to reap the benefits of it. But don't try to pick it before it's had its chance to ripen, because that's when it has the most minerals in it, right? You know what I'm saying? So when we really and truly start understanding that our mind is the field that we're planting on when we're doing these new moon rituals, okay? We are planting in our mind, and everything else is a symbol. When I go outdoors, because I don't always do my rituals. There are sometimes where I will just do a ritual in the house in those four walls, and I'll just do the ritual mainly through my imagination, through meditation. Excuse me. And before any ritual, I meditate anyway, because I definitely want to be pulling intuitively from what I'm doing, because the way I did the ritual last time may not be the same way this time. It may be something else I need to add to it, meaning I might have had 3 candles on the altar when I did the full moon ritual, and I have 4 on the altar when I'm doing the new moon ritual. And it's very interesting, because my spirit just told me that the symbolism of planting the 3 during the full moon cycle is that the full moon is when you are reaping a harvest from your new moon intentions from the previous one. So the 3, so that means that you are getting something earthly, some foundation on the earth, right? Therefore, you need to make sure you stay tapped into the intuitive spiritual side, which represents the number 3. Okay? And so me having those 3 candles on the altar when I did the full moon ritual actually was the perfect number for that particular ritual that I did. Okay? And that was the full moon in Leo. And no, the full moon in Aquarius, excuse me. The new moon was in Leo. but the full moon in Aquarius, okay? The water bearer. Now, the purpose of me doing, because I just did my new moon in Virgo ritual on Friday, and I lit 4 candles, and those 4 candles symbolize me taking something from spirit to foundation. So that's really was a balancing act, and I just now realized that's literally what that shit was. And that's because, again, I tell myself over and over again, excuse me, I'm open to how the universe chooses to express itself through me, or to me. Excuse me. No more closed off mind, because that's setting boundaries and limits. That's literally something I surpassed in Saturn. I no longer set the boundaries and limits. I allow myself to be led to whoever, however the bodysuit looks, whoever speak something, and letting go of ego and realizing that we all still need each other. We're all connected. And a download that I'm getting might be one chapter. This other person got another chapter. This person got a chapter. So you're actually tapped in and tuned into some very, very connected minds. And that's the real Wi-Fi. Okay, that's that real live Wi-Fi. Okay, that you picking up from the universe, and what you're saying or what that person's saying is something you're like, shit, this is exactly on the wavelength that I was on. However, we are all different, our own unique divine sparks, and the way that I communicate it is not the same way that anybody else is going to communicate it, and that's the beauty in it. And I realized that. I wasn't, attempting to make this video long, but I just want to let you know that's how you know that you have cultivated your knowledge into wisdom, and your wisdom into understanding is when you start to see the creation of it, meaning your actions are done without any reminder. You don't have to put a reminder in there. Remember to think this way. Remember to say this about yourself. Remember to forgive yourself and not to judge yourself. You even realize that you're not judging yourself. If you do slip, you're like, oh shit. Well, at least I consciously knew that I fell back a little. At least I knew that. You know what I'm saying? That it didn't take me a month. I immediately realized it, like, ooh. You know what I'm saying? So those are things. And then when you say you're going to start something, like how I said I'm going to start a business and I started it, those things. It's me singing and like lip singing and dancing on my Instagram page. You know what I'm saying? Those types of things. So sure, that was during Leo season. I really allowed myself to embody that lion. However, when Virgo came in, here I go, I went in a little bit of a hermit mode. The video slowed down and those things of that nature. But there is a time and a season, remember. Time to plant, a time to water, you know what I'm saying? And then a time to grow. And then a time to harvest it. I just did, that was 4 stages I just did right there. But yeah, you got to plant it, water and love on it. You don't have to watch it grow, but most of us are going to observe some type of growth, because we'll start seeing it as a result. We'll start seeing that we're cultivating and creating that universe. We'll start realizing that almost every rest of people you meet are nice, and the times when you do meet somebody who's a little bit off, you realize that maybe your energy was feeling a little type of way. So, of course, whatever's on the inside is going to manifest on the outside of you. So that's still growth. That's still you've created now a habit, like a quality check within your mind. Just like they do a quality check for any products that before they get to the store on the shelves. You doing a quality check within your own motherfucking mind, so you checking your own self. And if you catch yourself about to judge somebody, you say, hey, it ain't my, that's not my cross to bear. You know what I'm saying? That's where they are right now. But I still unconditionally love this nigga. It's just, I don't rock with that behavior. And you also set boundaries. If they try to bring you back in that behavior, you be like, nah, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? Or you speak something on the total opposite side, let them know. It's like even getting caught up in any of the stuff that's going on in this world. But I'm going to end the video on this note. I just want to say it's nothing wrong, like Universal Frequency actually brought this up too. It's nothing wrong with noticing what the imbalances are. Because really it's like an account is checks and balances. All right. So what the imbalances are in that account. what's causing that account to be negative? You know what I'm saying? What's causing that account to be, to express, you know what I'm saying, to be in the state that it's in right now, where things are not able to be done, or it looks like things are not able to be done to make a change into the kind of, just seems like it just keeps going negative and negative and more negative. But how do we get it into a more positive, balance? How do we get a more positive balance? I totally get that, and I hope that analogy makes sense to you. I mean, most people are literally just keep debiting and debiting and debiting for themselves because they keep buying into everything that's going on around them. However, when you realize this is a story that they are allowing to be played out based upon your mind state and your mentality, that means that the sickness and the disease starts in our own mind. When you start to recognize that shit, you done leveled up. You are bossing the fuck up in your own self and in your own right. So I'm going to end the video on that note, guys. Again, this video was just about how you've cultivated your understanding into, your knowledge into wisdom, and then your wisdom to get to the understanding, and how you know that you have actually cultivated your understanding, and that's based upon your physical actions. You taking physical action, and then you noticing, well, before that, of course, your intuition. You're following your intuition, and then you're taking action based upon your intuition, and then, and only then, are you seeing that you've created that universe, because you see the people coming around you as well. They come at you very different. You know what I'm saying? It reminds me of the child. Like, if a child always says what they are first. You know what I'm saying? They'll be like, I'm a baker. Like, my niece tells me all the time she's going to have a bakeria, okay? And so they're speaking those things first. So you might notice the child, I won't even get into the big land, but she'll say she owns her own bakeria. When she gets older, she's going to own her own bakeria because she's a baker. And that's my mother's maiden name. That just goes to show you how that shit is aligned. And she transitioned the same year. She transitioned into this plane the same year my mother transitioned into spirit. So she came into earth and my mother went into spirit. And that's that balance again, that balancing act. So she does little things. Like, she'll pretend she's making something. Like how we used to pretend we were making things out of the dirt. All right. Or she may come in there and try to cook in the kitchen with me. Children always are fascinated to cook with me. And I realized that in Jamaica, it was the same way. A man I was dating, his son did not want to help him out in the kitchen at all or do anything with him. But with me, he would be like, how do you do that? Can I try? And I'm like, yes, but be careful. Because he would be using like the grater or whatever, the carrots. And I really didn't want him to do it. Like, I felt that motherly thing. I didn't biologically push him out, but I felt a motherly attachment to him. And, I felt that role in his life, not taken away from his biological mother. However, I felt connected to him and realized this is still my child. And I had that community feel for him, that real love for him, like, for real. But anywho's, so she'll come in there and cook with me in the kitchen. And so there she is. She's being a baker. You know what I'm saying? We might be baking biscuits or doing whatever, but she's baking. She's in the kitchen doing something that is putting action and planting the seed that this is something that she really wants to do. Therefore, she manifested in her adulthood. You know what I'm saying? So be childlike in that way. And Universal Frequencies was talking about that shit. I talked about that a few months back, when the summer was first beginning. And I was like, look, y'all. You gotta be childlike. It's not about, it's not about I want to say it's not about how other people think about, what other people think about it or how other people look about it. It's how you feel about it. Does this make sense to you? Just like with my rituals. It made knowing sense to me. That the number of candles that I needed on the altar for my full moon and my new moon ritual. And it turns out that I got understanding of why just now doing this video. So that's all I really wanted to share with you guys. Like I said, trust your inner knowing. That's when you really know that you're at a point where you are on the right track and you're on the right path. The more and more you trust the universe, the more and more it's given. You know what I'm saying? Because that's actually you starting to let go. You keep letting go little by little, but you keep letting go of things that no longer serve you. So you have room to fill up your cup again. I talk about that all the time. Too many people walking around with goddamn full cups. You know what I'm saying? That's that, like that saying, we got a whole bunch of chiefs, but no, yeah, a whole bunch of chiefs, but not enough Indians. That may be how it goes. So basically, we got everybody trying to be the boss or whatever, trying to be in a role of, you know, being the teacher, but they're not cultivating the knowing. They're not even comfortable trusting in themselves. They're not even, because that's where it starts. If you don't get to the level of trust, you can never create not what you want to create anyway. You're going to create the opposite of it. The more and more you trust, the more and more it's given. So like I said, I really appreciate you guys. As always, I really do. As I say in every video, I appreciate you guys so much for tuning into my channel and listening to my story, and, you know, allowing me to be a conduit and a channel for this energy, because we all are channelers. We're all channeling. If we're really sincere in it and we're really doing it for ourselves, we're all channeling something from a deeper place within ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Not outside, but a deeper place within ourselves, in our triple darkness, in that potential. We're activating these cells, and it's activating this information in us, and also making it so that we're an open channel. Our chakras are whirling in the correct pattern, and it's in harmony in order for us to receive those downloads and that information. Because if our chakras are blocked off, we are literally missing the motherfucking boat. So that's why a lot of our people's DNA hasn't gotten activated yet. But the more and more that we trust in ourselves, starting with the man in the mirror and changing ourselves, the more and more we actually can change others and the way that others think, because we are connected, that Wi-Fi, to the consciousness, y'all. So like, let me stop, because I can keep talking, like I said, and a few minutes ago I'm gonna end this video. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really appreciate you. Peace.